Yes, you saw right. This is a Quiet on Set Pride special that is released on July 1st and not within the Pride month of June because our gayness cannot be constricted just to a single month. And we are not like those other big companies that switch their Pride-themed logos as soon as midnight strikes on June 30th. But today you'll get 2 episodes of our show called For Favorites that has since been canned. We're not doing it anymore, but we recorded this back in February and we didn't really know what to do with it. So here it kind of fits nicely. We had Kally, our previous co-host, back as a guest. We talked about romance films and rom-coms and the queerness of LGBTQ plus in a Pride special as well. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with our token LGBTQ plus representative, Kally Kunap. Welcome back to 4 Favorites, brought to you by the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm your host, Ewan Groff, and today I'm here with a former co-host of the Quiet on Set podcast, Kally Kunap. Welcome.
Hi, it's me. I'm back.
Yes, we're actually in the same space. Look, there's overlap. Yes, oh, hello there.
This is so stupid.
That's romance. No. Killed the mood straight away. But today we are continuing the saga of talking about rom-coms and romances. Lachlan's episode is already out. You're next up. Glad to have you back because you are kind of an expert when it comes to rom-coms and romances. I always see on your Letterboxd timeline, I used to see, not as much as of late. But like for a while, it was really back to back to back. Just I was wondering, are you okay, Kally?
I have phases, all right? I have some phases where I start watching and I don't stop watching.
Oh, okay.
I'll go on Netflix, I type in rom-com and I go through every single one of them.
Well, I watched through some of your honorable mentions and the films you have in your selection. And then someone messaged me and asked me if I'm okay. So hopefully you get some good films out of this. I think it was just the amount of movies that I watched, not the selection. Yeah. But there's so many rom-coms. There's so many films that have a comedic subplot as well, a romantic subplot as well. We'll focus on films that really are focusing on romance first. So there's heaps of stuff we'll have to leave out. So can you start it off with your honorable mentions, which I think unprecedented. You have the most amount of honorable mentions anyone has ever had, and I love it.
Well, first of all, I have a disclaimer.
Yes,
so
okay.
For me, a romantic comedy, it doesn't have to be a good movie. It just has to be a good rom-com because it's a whole different world of rom-coms, right?
Yeah.
It's a feel-good genre, you could say.
Yeah.
Because there's 90% of the time there's a happy ending. So you're just there's a kitty. You're just supposed to enjoy it, you know. Yeah. Get a bottle of wine. If you need to cry, you just cry and just be happy that there's going to be a happy ending, right?
Exactly.
It's a safe space.
For rom-coms. We picked a bunch of romances. I think you are a nice change of pace for, I said rom-coms and romance. I should have probably disclaimed let's do rom-com or let's just do romance because Lachlan and I both have a bunch of sad boy movies in there. Like,
was it really pretentious?
It was so pretentious.
Of course.
So I'm glad.
And that's why I'm here.
You are here to balance it out. We're definitely missing you on the podcast to balance our douchebag-ness, which is not even a word, but I can say it because I'm pretentious. Yes. Let's kick it off with the honorable mentions.
All right, I have a very long list of honorable mentions.
Yes.
But there's some that stand out to me.
Okay.
Movies that I would watch over and over and over and over and over again. So have you seen How to Be Single?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yes. Whenever
I feel like crying under my blanket, that's what I watch because it's just funny.
Yeah.
What else do we have? He's Not That Into You. Another one. If you got broken up with, watch that. It's funny. Movies like Mamma Mia even, or My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which love it. Clueless, another good one. But you see the overarching theme, they're all just there for fun. None of them are actually great.
Yeah, I mean, I went to go see a bunch of them because I'm not the biggest fan of rom-coms, if I'm being honest, because we'll see that in your list as well. At some point, rom-coms really peaked, I'd say.
Yes, definitely.
There's an era of early 2000s, maybe late 90s, where we get the best of them. And then there's a couple ones that, like you said, are comfort food that still get made. But they don't really stand out to you.
Yeah,
or is it more like the nostalgia for them as well? Or
I think but time-wise, I think end of the 80s, 90s, where like Pretty Woman came out.
Yeah.
That's where it started peaking, and you're gonna see it in my list.
Mm-hmm.
But 2000 or like mid 2000s, so like the zeros, whatever you call them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In the middle of that, it kind of stopped being as good. I forgot your question as well.
No, it was more of a statement. That,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, is it more out of nostalgia, like your overall picks that you ended up making, or you think there's something special
yeah,
about
definitely. I think to make it onto my list, it has to be a movie that I've seen like at least 5 or 10 times, especially for rom-coms, because this is my genre. This is what I eat, breathe, and live.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely nostalgia, because I think early 2000s, especially, were born around the same time.
Yes, I think
right?
we are about the same age. I'm turning 25 this year.
Me too.
Yes.
We're the same age.
Old as fuck.
Yeah, I think the early 2000s was really when it peaked, and it was a time where I didn't know that much about movies. I didn't know what was good or what to look out for. I was just looking for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
And that's what you're gonna see in my list.
Let's get into your list then. I had a few surprises in the honorable mentions, by the way. I got some flack for really liking He's Just Not That Into You. I thought that one was really good. I liked it a lot, and someone was like giving me flack because arguably I didn't like Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
And this. Anyways, we don't have to get into that. This is all about you, and we'll kick it off with Renee Zellweger. Is that good for you? With
yes,
one of a three-parter. You know what these rom-coms sometimes have in common as well is that some of them do get sequels.
Yes,
unwarranted
definitely.
ones, but I think here you got a pretty solid series with Bridget Jones, and you picked the original, right?
Yeah. Well, I picked the original, so Bridget Jones' Diary in 2001, which kickstarted this whole rom-com. I don't even know. It feels like it is the rom-com of all rom-coms.
Right.
So it's based off of a book or a series of books, as far as I know. But essentially, we have Bridget Jones. She's single. She's a little bit chubby. We can all relate to that. She likes to drink. She likes to smoke. She's just in her early 30s or late 20s trying to find love.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us are trying to do, right? And it's very relatable because she's not this perfect woman, and she has all of these issues, and she doesn't really know how to act in public spaces. So it's just really awkward to look at. It has that Office type embarrassment comedy to it. Yeah. So you're looking at her like, why is she doing that? But it's still funny, and she finds a way out of it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like it has a lot of charm. It also has the one and only, Hugh Grant in it. And there's some scenes that I'm glad right after this, in a couple of months for you, we'll do our Pride films. I feel like Bridget Jones, just for that one scene in the water, at least for me, could make it in there.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's such a great scene with him, like with the
the cigarette
in the mouth, and it's just it's great. And so I get the appeal. Do you like the sequels as well? Bridget Jones style?
Well, I like the second one, so Edge of Reason, that one's called, I think.
Right. Yeah.
That one I really like still. The third one is a little bit it's a little bit weird because it came out so much later than the other ones, and it's not as funny. Maybe because of Hugh Grant, I'm not sure.
Is he not in the last one? Or he's bad in the last one?
You can see him in the last one, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you in case you ever want to watch it.
I've only watched the first two.
But I will say the focus is not on him anymore.
Yeah, because I don't really like where she ends up in this film, because I feel like I already could tell where the sequel goes.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the right choice to make. But that's what life is all about. You do make the wrong choices sometimes, and it still feels great because you did see Hugh Grant in a see-through white shirt, and we can all agree that is amazing.
Yeah, but so you would say you're a Hugh Grant guy, because I prefer Colin first.
Well,
I think they're both hot.
Or as a character?
I think they're both hot. I think
Like, do you mean as an actor in like these roles, or these characters in the film? Kitten demands attention. She's in frame. Oh my god, we rarely ever get that because the camera's not pointed this way usually. but you can see her little tiny head pop up from there.
I think overall I like Colin Firth better, but
Right.
okay, in the movie Hugh Grant is a little bit smaxier.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're both not, like, she's not perfect.
yeah.
She still, I think, overall has the moral high ground over both of them. But you get the appeal why she goes for them. Ultimately, if there's a third party that would come in, probably be healthiest.
Oh God.
to go for those, but yeah, what we get is what we get, and it's great. Do you want to move on to your next pick?
Sure. Yes.
Which one? You lead the way. What's next on your list? I think you're kind of going chronologically through the years as well.
Well,
right?
We're gonna go 2 years back.
Okay, hit me.
Let's talk about 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
It is. I will say, high school rom-coms are a thing we see all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, what's it called? To All the Boys. We have Clueless.
Yeah.
All of these high school movies. But 10 Things I Hate About You.
You can just go again, I'll cut that.
But 10 Things I Hate About You, I find, is one of the best, if not the best. I mean, it's based on Shakespeare.
It's yes.
For crying out loud. So The Taming of the Shrew, for those of you who don't know. And I think just in this discussion, I think it's really important to say that Shakespeare, a lot of people think that he's very, very, outdated and some guy who did some poems and sonnets and stuff.
Yeah.
And plays. But I feel like it is an important argument to say that Shakespeare is always modern. There's always some part of Shakespeare around. So a lot of the movies and the stories and the texts we see, they're always they're very often related to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Because intertextuality, everything is.
Yeah, I could have mentioned that at the stop. You got a BA in English and film studies.
I made it.
You do have a background in it. I haven't. I'm not done with my bachelor's. She is. She's actually the expert here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I have a bachelor's in
majored in rom-coms.
Yes.
But that was not uni certified, but definitely self-certified and deservedly
self-certified, self-proclaimed rom-com professional doctor. Yes.
And I'm glad you picked 10 Things I Hate About You, because I'm trying to like see what other people pick so we don't have that much overlap, so we get a broad representation. I think this would have made it onto, like, out of all of your 4 picks, this might have made it onto my list as well. I love 10 Things I Hate About You. It came out in 99, so we were around 1 year old. That's obviously when we first watched it. But no, I grew up with this as well. I watched this countless times, and I assume you've watched it at least 10 times.
I have watched it at least 100 times.
100 times.
On this list, this is my number 1. So
damn. Okay.
I think there's only like 2 or 3 films that I've watched like hundreds of times.
Yeah.
No, there's 2 probably.
Yeah.
The first being 10 Things I Hate About You, and the other one being The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yes.
But 10 Things I Hate About You, it just hits the spot. It just scratches the itch that you have. And having Heath Ledger. So most people, if you ask them, hey, do you like Heath Ledger? Like, yeah, he's such a great actor. Did you see him as the Joker? That's what they would say. Me, if you ask me about him, I would say, okay, Heath Ledger, yeah, I loved him as Patrick Verona. Such a hottie. Him singing on those steps.
Yeah.
That's the way I want to be proposed to. Like, if a man ever makes me mad, go sing on the steps and then we'll talk.
Yeah. Oh, go to a high school, sing there.
Yes.
Which hopefully by the time this happens, you won't be like too old. Otherwise, that's really creepy.
Like, going to get banned.
That high school is like crazy. The locations there, I like that we revisit them. They definitely got to shoot in that high school, and there's a lot of like recurring locations that they get to use. There's a lot of iconic like actors that branched out of, I guess, just doing more of the comedic romantic roles. But you got a lot of people like early on in there, and Heath Ledger definitely being the standout there. For me, it was also the first movie I think that like I had a crush on someone as well.
Who did you have a crush on?
It was it's embarrassing because she's such a like Pixie Dream Girl with Bianca. So,
but who wouldn't?
who wouldn't? She set up in the movie like this. And I was like, obviously, you have to go for her.
Yeah. And the guidance counselor.
I also think that, I don't know what his name is, but the English teacher, he's so incredibly
Love
funny.
it.
Yeah.
The next time you run to the PTA for better lunch meat or whatever you upper middle class white girls complain about, ask them why they can't buy a book written by a black man. That's right, Mom. Yeah.
Yeah, the iconic scene with the two with the dreadlocks as well, the two white dudes. Yeah. There's so much going on in 10 Things I Hate About You. It's definitely one to revisit and also break down. I don't know if you in there, maybe you've watched like some breakdowns of it as well, like some video essays.
I haven't. I
don't know if there is a bunch of it out there, but I feel like there's a lot to dissect. Being Shakespeare, there's a lot of stuff, that you could dive into. Definitely. Well, if there's ever too much rom-coms to be watched and you need to take a break, you need to go on a holiday. Let's talk about the holiday.
The holiday.
Yeah, I thought I'd have to do at least like one cringeworthy tie over because you were on the podcast before, you had to endure this before. The first time on video now, so you can actually see the real time reactions that you usually just but like, ugh, you just heard that before, but now you can actually see it.
You know the Pepe meme with the cringe where Pepe is like,
yes, exactly. That's 1-1. Oh my god, why did it turn green right now? Yeah. Anyways, The Holiday from Nancy Meyers from 2006.
Yeah, I think when I started looking into what I could even talk about today, I very quickly, so I was looking into this during Christmas time, which a little bit, it influenced my list a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like The Holiday is one that I always go back to during Christmas time because obviously it's during Christmas, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, of course.
It's very cute. To me, it's just a feel-good movie. It's very, very predictable, as much rom-coms are.
Yeah.
But it's just so wholesome. You have Kate Winslet with the old man who's apparently this film genius who worked in the industry for so many years. And she just, she's just helping him up the stairs, stuff like that. It's just cute to see. And you see Cameron Diaz doing what she does best, which is this snooty white girl who realizes that she has feelings, essentially. Because I feel like she's done that role a couple of times.
I have feelings?
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
I think she's done that role a couple of times.
The Legally Blonde, Clueless type of thing as well.
Really,
like mid 2000s is when we saw a bunch of that, recurring thing.
It's like, the blonde girl isn't that stupid.
Oh, what?
That's the plot. Yeah.
Blonde girls can be lawyers too. Do you know that song of like hot girls? What is it called? Hot girls have feelings too.
I don't
know. It's a really bad song from like 10 years ago. I'm dating myself here. Anyways, The Holiday. Yeah. Yes. Is there anything else you could say about it other than it's just, is it like a comfort movie, or what would you say? Because you said it's like predictable in the sense that like most rom-coms go.
I think it's definitely the movie that if you want to cry, you're gonna watch it, because like at the end, once Cameron Diaz is Diaz
nuts. Sorry.
Is in that car, driving away. You're like, no, she shouldn't have left. No, she's gonna cry and I'm gonna cry and all of these feelings. And oh my God, he's a widower, but he has these two very, very cute like daughters. So you just let it all out.
I forget. Is there an airport scene in The Holiday?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's like the biggest trademark. And I don't know if Bridget Jones' Diary doesn't have it.
Oh, yes, it does.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In the second one, they do.
Oh, in the second one. Second one. Yeah, but not in the first one. So they're saving it up. In 10 Things I Hate About You, there's no airport scene.
Nope.
And are you ready to move on?
Yes.
Yes? And in Easy A, I also think there's no
I think
airport scene.
No, there isn't.
No.
But it is getting very close to the 100 watch area,
really?
I would say.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay, well, tell us about Easy A. What did that
So
mean?
Easy A, we have this average girl, she's not extremely pretty, not extremely smart. She's just your average girl at an American high school. So Olive, we follow her story as she tells this small little lie to her best friend that she may or may not have lost her virginity, and the entire school finds out about it, which obviously is very realistic. I think me coming from a high school that had like 150 people, very relatable. But essentially the lie gets out of hand and it's like an avalanche, and her whole life changes for a moment until she does something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She regains the control in a sense of her own narrative.
Yeah.
I think it's a really like smart movie when you look at it, the amount of themes it like packs while still being just fun.
Yeah.
And it has like, it has those, I think, like, doesn't it open with a scene of her like singing under the shower or something like that? Is that?
No, that comes later on.
Ah, okay. But like there's stuff like that, and it's just like, that's relatable to me.
Yeah. I think it's
not the virginity part.
It's like she starts with comparing herself to a skyscraper, that if she were a skyscraper, Google Maps couldn't find her. And then like a week later, she's like, if I were a crack on the pavement, Google Maps would find me. And yeah, but it starts with that, and then it goes to the lie and saying how this is what I actually did on that weekend where I was supposed to lose my virginity. Yeah. And you see her in the shower like, I get a sunshine, I get a love when I know that's on my own. Oh, wow.
This is great to do this with you because the movies like by heart. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I haven't seen this movie in 10 years, but it's like one of my favorites. You've at least seen it like 2 or 3 months ago at least. You've probably seen like pretty much most of them. Yes. So that's great. Easy A.
The Scarlet Letter, brought to the modern world.
Right.
Showing us again that literature, older literature isn't always that bad. You just have to make it approachable.
Is there, I'm throwing you into the cold water here. Is there like one thing that you'd love to see adapted, maybe adapted again as well, that like you feel like has potential for like a good romance thing? It's hard because usually like you hear about a film and then you go read like Call Me By Your Name and stuff like that. So, but that like some Shakespeare stuff that you really enjoy that you'd love to see like adapted again or something like that.
I feel like, so I'm a little bit at fault here because I really like Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. Midsummer Night's Dream. And I know there's adaptations of it, but as far as I've seen, they all look very, very like fairy tale type. They stick to the play essentially.
Right, okay.
But if there were an Easy A 10 Things I Hate About You equivalent of A Midsummer Night's Dream, I would
eat it up.
It would be running on my TV like 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah. There's so much to tell in these love stories that aren't like I said with some of the other lists that we've covered this season. Bit of like sad boy, sad girl type of genre-ish with the recurring themes of the two lovers are destined for each other, but it's like it's right place, wrong time and stuff like that. I eat that shit up because it's a bit more tragic.
You know who we didn't talk about?
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci.
Well,
are you
yes.
So are you as obsessed with him as the rest of the world is the question?
No, I don't think I am. I like him.
How can you not?
I like him, but he's I didn't rewatch Easy A, so I don't have him as like presently in my mind of what he does in that film.
He's like, well, he's the dad, right?
Right.
I think he has like the humor that his character is given in that movie is just top tier. Or the parents in general. I think as someone
one of the parents. Sorry.
Anyways, what a joke. Funny guy. So someone comes to the door and they say, is Olive here? And the mom comes to the door and she's like, oh yeah, I have a whole jar in the fridge. Yeah. Like that kind of humor. And the dad going like they have an adopted or she has an adopted brother, Olive. they're talking about puberty, and the boy's like, oh, I'm never going to hit puberty, you know? And they say, don't worry, we're just a family of late bloomers.
Yeah.
And the boy goes, what does that matter? I'm adopted. And the dad just goes, what? Who told you? Like, how did you? Well, we're going to do this at the right time.
Yeah.
When it's like, it's painfully obvious that he's adopted, but it's that kind of humor that's kind of, I wish I had a dad like that. My dad's joke all go below the waist. So it's...
You know, you're not simping over Hugh Grant in this, but you're like, please give me parents that are funny.
No, my parents are funny. They're just
different type of funny. You know,
different
you want to
type
variety.
of
That's
funny.
a good thing about these films. You can just like swift through, and like it's like Tinder dates with rom-coms where you can just like look at different family structures.
Yes.
And Easy A is definitely a fun one. I feel like the formula like this they try to repeat it, but if it's not someone like Stanley Tucci and the writing isn't there, then it really oftentimes falls so flat because everyone is supposed to be quirky. It's like one of the things I really don't like about To All the Boys. I feel like the family dynamic just doesn't work there. Like Lana is fine, but like the rest of the smart little sister and stuff like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work all the time. And it's like really a rom-com trope. Like that is there where like everyone who's not romantic involved has to bring some kind of comedic thing to it. And sometimes I feel like from a lot of your picks, they balance the dramatic aspects a bit better with the romantic ones. That's why they stand out as like really... There's some truth in that, not just like the entertainment value.
I feel like these movies, especially, they're very self-aware that they are trying to make this feel-good romantic comedy and not this Oscar-worthy big type thing. They're just trying to entertain you, and that's what they do best. And I think they do that very, very well.
Although it is crazy that thinking about your honorable mentions, my Big Fat Greek Wedding did get a screenplay nominations at the Oscars when it came out.
Oh yeah, it did.
So crazy. I think that movie is totally fine. I didn't like vibe with it that much, but it's it's a bit bizarre to me that got a screenplay nomination.
Oh my god! Did you know the word camera comes from Greek?
That character is probably the best one. I don't know why, but I mean we're turning a quarter of a century old this year. Both of us. Yes, we are that old. And what you kind of gravitate towards, at least me, is like those silly, dumb dad jokes. I'm like, that's actually quite funny. I dig that.
I think funny. It's like the relationship with your parents. When you're a teenager, you hate having those type of jokes. You're like, I'm too good for this.
Yeah.
But then eventually you're like, why am I taking myself so seriously? I just want to have fun. So the dad jokes, they just come back at some point.
Exactly. It's with all of media. It's like when you're younger, you identify more with the younger characters. And then as you get older, maybe not even at the stage where you're a parent yourself or whatever. But like I noticed that especially with something like Boyhood. I watched it and I was like, holy shit, I totally get my parents now because she has like that moment between anyways, that's a totally different thing, but it's great.
Well, wasn't that great? Kally, I gotta say, does have an interesting taste in movies. But let's get to the part that you actually clicked on this video for and find out just how gay we really are.
Welcome back to Full Favorites, brought to you by the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm your host, Ewan Gruff, and today we're joined once again by our former Quiet on Set podcast host, Kally Kuna.
Hi.
Welcome. Last time you were here, I forgot to introduce that you are also that you got a bachelor's in English and film studies. That's your background. Congrats to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, sorry?
It's just a bachelor's degree.
I mean, I don't have a bachelor's. I'm still working on mine. But today, it's not about your bachelor's degree. It is about some good films with LGBTQ plus themes. In the Pride month of June, we are taking a closer look at those. I feel like there's always a bit of underrepresentation when it comes to these films. They've been in a genre type of just being really sad a lot of times, where like at least one lover has to die and has to be tragic. We'll see through your list if that's like a recurring thing or if there's actually some happy things as well. I love the variety you got in here. You got some
longing, you got some music stuff, you got just straight up comedies. I love your selection.
Yeah, I think to sum up my list, there's like two parts to it. There's
Right.
camp and there's visuals.
I love that the visuals return in this. If you've
Of
been a long time
course.
listener, not watcher of the Quiet on Set podcast, then you do know that visuals are always an important component for
Yes.
Kally.
Yes.
And yeah, whenever like Lachlan and I now say like visuals, and it's like not ironic, it's just like in our conversations, I internally like smirk and then I have to play it down for camera.
That's good.
It's yeah,
Good.
you're still in our hearts.
I left a lasting mark.
You did. But let's talk about some honorable mentions that didn't make it onto your final list, but some quick little shout outs for some films that we won't get to talk about in depth.
Yeah, I think in the queer space of movies, one of the more important ones is Paris is Burning. It's a docu type movie. It's not life changing, but I think it's very important if one wants to get into watching queer movies. Also a late movie, a recent movie that was actually pretty decent, Booksmart. Very enjoyable. And I have to mention this next one because Harry Styles, my love.
I was wondering why
love of my life.
Why do you have that movie in here? I don't think it's good at all.
For the sole reason that we see Harry Styles' butt cheeks, I have My Policeman on that list.
Right.
Perky. There's also some other good ones like Little Miss Sunshine. We have a little bit of gay
Uncle
stuff
Frank.
there. Alex Strangelove. And my holy grail, The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Right, I'm surprised. I guess it doesn't fully qualify because it's just a side character thing.
I when I was putting together the list, I wanted to have movies that really had main characters that were focusing on the LGBTQs.
Yeah.
So since the gay character was a side character, I didn't want to include it on the list. But a great movie. I cry every time. It's wonderful. Give it a watch.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love that one as well.
Yeah. And the book is great as well.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
It's like 1-to-1, I think.
Okay.
Because the author worked on both. Well, the author wrote the book. What?
The author worked on the novel? That's a novel thing.
He wrote the book, and then afterwards he helped make the movie, essentially. So he was there for every step of the way.
Yeah.
So the movie came out great. Yeah.
Glad to hear it. I don't know if that was the same for your first actual pick on the. I don't know where that originated. I'd actually love to get a backstory on this film. It's a musical that I've seen live as well. It's amazing. I love the performance because it's like unique in the way where it's like audience interaction is encouraged and they have like segments. If you couldn't tell already, we're talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975, the oldest film on your list. So let us know about that one.
So jumping from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, where we see the cast actually starring in the show of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, that is where my not obsession, but kind of an obsession with this movie, where it comes from.
Okay.
Because so most people know that for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you don't just watch the movie, you go to a show, and they very often do midnight screenings where the spectators, I guess, or anybody that goes to see the audience, they're encouraged to dress up and participate and throw stuff and have water pistols, all that kind of stuff. And to me, this movie is the definition of camp. So everything that's exaggerated, just everything, just camp.
I think it's a great double feature for some reason with Paris is Burning. Because of, like, that movie is like about Paris is Burning. If I watched it just last night, that's why I'm bringing it up right now. Again, it's like really just a peek into the fashion world as well, and how like that is tied to the identity, and then it comes to like a lot of like morbid conclusions as you try to be and just yourself and not being able to be that, and like the opposition that's there. And Rocky Horror Picture Show is just like a celebration of whatever. It's just like it's exactly like these fashion shows that they have in Paris is Burning, but just to the nth degree, and it's got some amazing musical numbers in as well.
Yes, my God. I feel like the 20th century was or the 70s in general, it was an iffy time to be queer.
Yeah.
And Tim Curry coming out of that elevator with legs for days, kicking open the door for everything essentially gay in this world. I think it's an amazing movie. I watched this with my parents.
Really?
My parents, who are mildly conservative still, I would think.
Right.
So I told them, like, once you see the movie, you're going to see it's a little bit controversial. I had to, like, give them the talk. And when we watched,
I love how your parents give you the talk about like sex, and then you sit them down and like, oh, this is about LGBTQ. Sit down, give you the pride talk.
Yeah, so I told them, like, it's a little bit controversial, but I think you would like it because it's kind of fun. Yeah. And then we're watching it, and my mom's like, so what's the controversial part?
Let's go.
And I'm like, well, there is a man in stockings and high heels and very small clothing. And she's like, oh, okay. Because I don't know, I feel like it's not okay for someone to be trans, but then for some people, like, this was kind of like an escape. Like, this was okay because it was so over the top, campy, theatrical type thing.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I guess, see, like, from 1975 to now. I feel like we haven't made leaps when it comes to trans acceptance.
Yeah.
And trans, like, just acceptance, not even integration or just like celebration. So it's, I guess it is an easing in for a lot of people who aren't like associated with that world at all. And I think a lot of it is just ignorance as well, where you don't want to see it. Yeah. And by then, like, you're not seeing people correctly. But if you go over the top, then I guess it's easier to go in here. But it isn't played for laughs. I feel like that's the line that you have to toe, where it becomes harmful. And I think Rocky Horror Picture Show doesn't really do that. It's just, it's camp. It's camp.
It's camp. And the songs, once you see the movie, the songs are just going to be ingrained into your brain.
Yes. It's got some amazing numbers. I wish we could just play them, but I guess that wouldn't be possible with the copyright system on YouTube. But dude, the numbers are incredible.
Now that I think about it, I remember in one of my, I'm bringing up university, in one of our literature classes towards the end of the year, another guest you've had on the show, Alan Mutley. Yeah, he was my professor for the course.
Such a weird tie over. I never had him as a professor. But some of our co-hosts actually, he taught classes.
Like seminar teacher. I don't know if you're supposed to call that a professor.
I'll call him my professor, just to make it awkward. We're sexual on the tongue.
Alan, I'm sorry.
Alan is not watching this. I hope you're not watching this, Alan.
If he is, we actually looked at the song, the Sweet Transvestite, the opening song for Tim Curry. We discussed it in class about like the duality of things and all of that in literature class, and it was really fun. Like, this movie, it isn't just for shits and giggles, for lack of better words, but I think there's also like meaning there if you look for it.
I mean, Alan is a returning guest. I think other than Lachlan, he's the one who's been on every single 4 favorites. Nice. I don't have his list yet because this one is happening in June. We are recording it in February, just right after Valentine's Day. So, I don't know yet. Maybe the Rocky Horror Picture Show will actually be on.
If it is on his list, say hello from me because I haven't seen him in years.
Yes. Okay. I think that's it for Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Great movie. If you haven't seen it,
fleeting.
Check out if it's playing anywhere in a theater near you, because the live experience is also amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. I can recommend that as well. Let's move on to your next film. That is from 1999. Jamie Babbitt. But I'm a Cheerleader.
Yes.
I think I watched this for the first time off your recommendation as well, if I remember correctly.
I will have to say, so the way I got to this movie, I am a big fan of Natasha Lyonne.
Yes.
I think she is an amazing actress. Whatever she does, she's brilliant. And I knew this movie existed, but I hadn't watched it yet. So when you mentioned like, hey, we're going to do 4 favorites, I was like, I have to give this a fair shot. Like, I have to watch it before I even put my list together. So I did watch it, and I loved it. Because the same as Rocky Horror, it's just so over the top. It's camp. It's making fun of the whole queer thing.
Yeah.
Which...
It's camp at a conversion camp. I mean, sorry, that was not a joke.
That's a good one.
That's what it is.
Ewan Graf made a good joke for a change.
That wasn't a joke. I was just making fun.
No, but I think it's just so over the top. I mean, the way the set design.
Yeah.
Like the colors.
The colors so pop off the screen. It's like everyone's identity is emphasized through color.
They're just at conversion therapy, and they make the girls clean, and the boys have to like be lumberjacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just makes no sense. It's so stupid. But then at the end of the day, I mean, it's just funny. And then you have RuPaul, the most popular drag queen of the entire history, standing there like, yeah, myself, I was once gay. And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the absurdity of it.
Yeah, I feel like from an outside view, it could be that, you know, you're towing the line of the comedy in this when there's actual hurt. That's like, you know, done by similar things of like not acceptance, like these conversion camps are very much real and they still exist. But I think it is done by the people, for the people. Abe Lincoln was actually bisexual if you watch the Bros. No, it's just a thing in like one of the more recent rom-coms, because there's not a lot of gay rom-coms, I'd say. We talked about romance and rom-coms. There's not a lot of them where it's not just a side character that's gay. But Bros was one that came out last year. Didn't do too well at the box office, unfortunately, but I found it really funny. And they got like an exhibition that they're setting up at a museum, and one of the exhibition points is like about Abe Lincoln, and it's like an LGBTQ plus museum thing, and it's about him being bi. Like all of these things that like prove that he's bi. So that's where that came from. But yeah, so what was I saying? But I'm a Cheerleader's great. I don't know.
I feel like comparing it to Rocky Horror, I feel like they both have the same aim, which is to take this really serious topic, which is either being trans or a drag queen, whatever, being in the queer community, trying to take that very, very heavy topic and making it very, very funny, so that people who might not be in the community, that they would still maybe want to watch it. Yeah. Because it's just opening the door for discussion, I feel like.
Exactly. Because I feel like
a bridge.
There's a lot of funny people all around, no matter their gender or their sexuality. And I feel like from an outside view in, from, let's say, like a cis straight perspective, heading in, it's always a serious topic, you know, because you're like, oh, I'm not trying to be rude or offensive or whatever. And then you strip away anything that like pokes fun at itself. From within the community, there's a lot of stuff that is still funny, and then like the jokes that you can make, and here it leans into that.
I feel like the queer community, they're the first ones to make fun of themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Because, hey, we're funny people.
Yes. Yeah. We're very funny. So that brings us to the next movie. That's really funny. From Park Chan-wook.
Extremely funny. I laughed the whole time.
I watched this for the first time last night.
You watched the extended cut?
I watched the extended cut as well. I also looked up what was different. I think it's just like a lot of scenes just run a bit longer. I think there's not that much that is different. Couldn't bother to read through all of the changes because it's like literally at like 60 points that there's like a slight difference there. I feel like I would have probably preferred the shorter one, if I'm honest. At some points, this was a bit longer, but it's about you. What did you make of The Handmaiden? Why is it on your full favorites list?
It's a little bit funny because I would have never watched this on my own probably.
Right. Yeah.
But I watched this for the Letterboxd raffle.
Yes.
Like 2 years ago. And I just watched it and I just fell in love. Like, I wanted to make a really bad joke, but I have to hold myself back. I was like, not just the nipples, but all of it. Shut me the fuck up.
Oh man.
I feel like I wasn't expecting this type of movie, especially like from the Asian film
Yeah,
culture part of the world.
because
I
it
guess.
seems overall a bit more conservative, maybe
Mm-hmm.
in some parts.
Oh, it's
But
very
yeah.
conservative yet really freaky.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
feels like. Obviously, I don't know the original language, or like I don't know Korean, I don't know
yeah,
Japanese,
yeah. Mhm.
but the translation at times it's really really poetic the way
Yeah,
that it's translated and they speak. So that was one of the parts that really allured to me.
yeah.
I
That you
don't know.
gravitated towards. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think just the beauty of it all, like the set and the places that they shoot in, and
yeah,
the way they show the women, like they're whenever there's an intimate scene, their bodies are the focus.
yeah.
And there's like this beautiful symmetry at times where you
Mhm.
see them, and it looks fantastic,
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah. I definitely wasn't expecting to like it that much,
yeah.
but I did love it.
Mhm.
And I will say there's a lot of detail to this movie that my very few watches will not give it enough credit
Yeah,
for, but it's just beautiful. And I think if you watch it and then watch it again 2 years later, then it's probably going to be another great experience.
yeah. Exactly. I feel like Park Chan-wook only makes films that kind of get better on the rewatch. And this movie has been hyped up. I see it in a lot of like top fours on Letterboxd as well. A lot of like 5 out of 5 stars from some of my friends on Letterboxd as well. So I went in really afraid that I maybe wouldn't like it. I think I didn't love it as much as some other people did, because there's a lot of like twists and turns that the
Yeah.
stories take. That the story takes, and I feel like I would have loved to just say really simple, but it is Park Chan-wook after all. If you get the movie by your first watch, then you've got something wrong.
Yeah.
Something went wrong there.
Mental
But yeah.
illness. Why are you so good?
Yeah, he's amazing. I think what his strongest point somehow I feel like is his editing. The like natural flow. I feel like that really works well for romance, because if you got people connecting, it's all
Yeah.
about the flow as well and the vibes.
Mhm.
And if you
The
connect
vibes.
that in the connecting tissue with the ellipses, right? That's the cuts between
Mhm.
in the film, and they are just naturally flowing into the next scene. And whenever there is something bigger happening and there's an abrupt halt to it all, it feels all that more impactful.
Yeah.
So the Handmaiden, at least like craft wise, I feel like it's really really pretty. What I
Yeah.
thought was interesting still, because that's I guess something that could be its whole different topic, is all about like the male gaze, which it touches on,
Yeah.
of like the exploitation.
Mhm.
And I don't know, by the end of it, the end scene for the film, which I don't know if I want to spoil it, but there's some kind of symmetry in there, and you're still kind of
Yes.
gazing at it, and I felt really conflicted if it's actually just I guess negating the rest of the film that's been set up, because we're still looking onto it.
Yeah.
But you could go either way of how you see it, because I feel like the earlier scenes between the two of them were very much like removed from that kind of gazing at the body, and it was very much like a point of view thing for the
Yeah.
characters.
It does have a very male gazy aspect to it. I will
Yeah.
agree.
But I mean, that's not the topic
Yeah.
here. Overall, I think it's a great queer representation. We went
Yeah.
from
My-
trans to, I guess, lesbian, maybe.
Yes.
No, all of it. No, we get all of it in Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I'm a Cheerleader. The Handmaiden, lesbian, and now we are moving to the most popular gay story. You get some, yeah? Sorry.
I have a better crossover thing.
Hit me.
First of all, so we smashed the closet, right? The closet's gone.
The closet's gone, yes.
In this beautiful movie, they paint. Do you know what they painted?
No. What
They
did paint?
painted peaches.
They painted peaches.
And on the topic of peaches, my next and my last pick is "Call Me by Your
I
Name."
have such a strong visual in my face, in my mind right now. My face.
What visual? Tell us. Tell us.
Just the peach thing. I can see him biting into it, and I hope Armie Hammer isn't biting in other stuff in real life. But this is Luca Guadagnino's novel adaptation from 2017 that I think have I read the sequel as well? I don't know. I'm disappointed that due to the controversy with Armie Hammer, we might not ever get to see a sequel.
You know what? Actually, I am disappointed. I haven't read the sequel book,
Yeah.
But I feel like if there were a sequel, it would probably ruin Call Me by Your Name for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's not needed. And
Yeah,
the book is also a bit
definitely
different
not.
than the
Mm-hmm.
film. I think I even I don't know. I actually prefer probably the movie ending to the book ending, because the book gives a bit more conclusions, whereas this one just leaves it a bit more
I've
open.
already forgotten what the book did.
It skips through a couple of the years
Oh,
after
yeah.
the encounter, and here we're just really left with sad boy Timmy at the furnace, at like just like out there, just
I have
yeah.
loved you for the last time.
Such great visual choices.
Is it a video?
Song choices here as well.
Yeah.
What's it called? Visions of Gideon. No, what is
Yeah,
it
Visions
called?
of Gideon.
Visions of Gideon. Yes, great song. But I'm sorry. Why did you pick "Call Me by Your Name"? If you know Kally, it's really obvious. I think on
I feel like
our favorites episode, I think we did this a while ago. We
Yes.
talked about like our overall favorite films, and this was on the list.
Yes, definitely. So this one, if you have ever encountered me on this podcast, this is the movie that
Like
I
a
always
Pokemon.
talk about.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking
Pokemon.
like
It's a Pokemon. I got it. Dun, 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 dun. She's gay. She likes visuals. Tagged by visuals.
I am the Best Buy.
Yeah, you're the Best Buy. All right.
You know they have the store Best Buy in America.
Best.
I am
That's
the CEO.
you. The inspiration.
No, but I honestly don't know how I got to Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
But I saw it once and I was obsessed. Maybe it's because it looks really pretty. Maybe, probably because it looks really pretty.
Yeah.
But I feel like Call Me by Your Name is like the spell that from the first minute you're just in the spell, and you feel like you yourself, you're in Italy. You can feel the things that they touch. You're eating the things they eat. And we both watched this video essay about like touch and I feel like this movie is so much about touch and sensuality, and there's this tension the whole time. It, starting off with the parents and Elio reading this book, is it better to speak or die? And Elio obviously thinking, okay, should I speak or should I die? And he decides to speak. Great for him. And then we get to the peach, it's all about that touch and, the way it's even shot, like that specific scene, seeing him hold that peach, touching it, and that fuzzy feeling.
Exactly, of someone's skin when you get like that tingling sensation, or even your hair sense up as well.
Yeah, or even having Oliver like grab him by the shoulder, like, oh, I know how this feels. It's just all very, not just visual, but touch.
Yeah, I recently watched like a breakdown of book to screen, or like screenplay to shooting, and the stuff that I guess Guadagnino added, and a lot of it is just like these in between moments. These like just short little moments where like they get up on the bike, and like the emphasis on the sound in it as well. There's a really good breakdown of it, that like the emptiness of the house, really every move you make has like a thud to it. There's like actual impact of what you're doing.
I feel like it kind of awakens all of your senses, because you have the food, like you're tasting it, you're trying to smell it, and you have the beautiful music that is constantly, like you hear this constantly, and it just works. And just the visuals of it, it's so beautiful. I think it's where the
visual thing is. It maybe no, I don't think it's where it came from. But our running gag of like visuals thing.
Oh, it probably stemmed from this.
I think it was from one of the favorites episode, because early on, we wanted to get like people to get to know us a little bit better. We talked about our favorite films, and I think what most of yours had in common, that like you ended up focusing. You really like the film look. I think ever since then we don't really have like that old of a look on here anymore with like that film look, but then also the focus on the visuals overall.
Yeah, I think I go crazy for Kodaks and film and film on film, like my other favorite movies like La La Land and Marie Antoinette, they all have that same thing of looking like it was shot on film, and they were shot on film, and also having the beautiful colors and all of that. I think that's what makes a great movie for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm so two-faced because like one part of me just loves looking at a beautiful movie like Call Me by Your Name, and the other half of me is like, yeah, put on the worst rom-com that you have. Like I just want to look at
Shot
trash.
on an iPhone, shot by Steven Soderbergh.
Yes.
An experimental movie. Yeah. I mean, there's a nice balance to be struck, I feel like, with a lot of these films. But I love that your films weren't all like, grim reality of like, this is the queer experience, but actually it's really wholeheartedly has a bit of everything in it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if you look back at why movies started, the very start of movies, they were made because you wanted to entertain people.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, a lot of like Oscar focused people maybe, they start to forget that movies are just made to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
And at some point people tend to forget that and go for very like movies that, yes, they're very well made, it's very beautiful, it sounds great, but at the end of it, like, did you have a good time watching it? Or like, did you just finish the movie and we're like, yeah, that was great, but now I kind of want to kill myself? Like,
yes, yeah.
Although the Call Me by Your Name does make me want to kill myself, but
what a way to end this episode.
No, but then you start watching it again,
and then
it's so great.
yeah, and then you're all good again, just like in a continuous loop. You just want to go to Italy and just spend a holiday there. Which it's such a like it's a there's no stakes in Call Me by Your Name. It's nothing that like they got this beautiful home, this cared for. He's got everything that he wants.
Yes.
Basically like utopia where all you crave is your self-fulfillment with another person. And I feel like existing in that, the tragedy is still like, it brings you down all the levels, not just the one. It feels like earth-shattering, but still he's overall pretty good. So it's not about like his existence isn't threatened.
I think just the writing of the movie, or the how it was adapted, and the whole scene with the father on the couch, and like I know I never got even as close as you did to experiencing love like this. And it just breaks you down, but at the end you still have a little bit of hope. Like, you never know
what might come around. So
maybe next summer there will be a new PhD student who maybe is even smaxier, who doesn't like to bite people. And I will say, Armie Hammer has had a lot of controversy, but this is the one exception I'm willing to make to like separate the art from the artist.
To still enjoy it. I mean, you definitely have to, because it's also the one where he's the most centered to be like, the desired part of the movie of like for Elio. So it's always hard to like have those canceled people in there. But it is what it is. But don't cancel your subscription to I don't know, to us. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Link below is Kally's full list of all of the honorable mentions as well, that you can check out on Letterboxd. Leave your favorite Pride films in the comments below. I'd love to get some deep cuts for me, because we're filming this so early. I really have like such a long list of films that like are LGBTQ plus themed that I haven't gotten around to, and I couldn't fit them in here before. So I guess in like once we get around to my recording, I hopefully have a bit more of an insight. But again, go watch Paris is Burning, great documentary, and have a good time with all of Kally's picks. But thank you so much for coming on. Hope to have you back in the future. We actually last time we teased you that she's back. We actually don't have anything lined up right now. So drop those likes to let us know that she's appreciated and you do want her back. And thanks so much for coming, Kally.
Thank you for the invitation. It was a hoot.
It was a hoot. It was a blast. And let's play us out with. Well, you won't get to hear this, but we'll end up listening to Visions of Gideon. Put them on as well to immerse yourself.
Can we just both stare into the camera like? I cannot.
You broke way too fast. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.